Hi, my name's Taylor.
I'm Josh.
And this is Pat Squatch. Grip it and rip it.
This is Hoot and Holler, podcast about the Ozarks.
All right. It's Sunday, November 1st, 2 days before the election, so we have to talk about it.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion that these states that form the Ozark region are going Trump. Arkansas and Oklahoma look like two of Trump's safest states, and Missouri is in aggregate about +7 Trump, according to 538, which is a relief for me because I said last episode that if it was closer than 5, I was voting for Biden. So we're going to talk down ballot mostly this episode, but let's talk national for a bit. Everything is super uncertain right now. There's a whole lot of shit flying everywhere. But let's hear it, y'all. What's your 11th hour take? What is going to happen Tuesday?
I think it's going to wind up being less about what actually happens and the response to it from one man who wants to do a lot of self-care by declaring himself the winner. That's basically what I'm sure is going to happen. And there's been a few like Axios or whatever reports today that he's already said if he's leading on election night, he's going to declare himself the winner, which is always what he was going to do. He'll never concede.
Right, agreed.
And I think Biden will win.
Remiss.
Oh, sorry.
Probably. But what does that mean, you know? No, it's fine. I was just going to say, I'd be remiss here if I didn't mention that Harvey's take, and Harvey's off this week, but she'll be back next week. But Harvey's take is that her solid prediction is Tuesday night, before we go to bed, Trump's declaring victory. And I think that's perfectly reasonable. I think anything otherwise would be a surprise.
Honestly, it doesn't matter what time you go to bed. You can go to bed at 7 o'clock Central Time, and he will have declared himself the winner. I think before polls close, he'll be like, looking great for me. I won.
I think it's a terrible thing when ballots can be collected after an election. I think it's a terrible thing when people or states are allowed to tabulate ballots for a long period of time after the election is over, because it can only lead to one thing, and that's very bad. You know what that thing is. I think it's a very dangerous, terrible thing. And I think it's terrible when we can't know the results of an election the night of the election in a modern-day age of computer. I think it's a terrible thing.
4 more years.
I would be surprised if he doesn't declare himself the winner like Monday night, just to be honest.
Yeah, based on the early
I mean, he's cucked if he doesn't declare himself on Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. And it might be because he might believe the election is on Monday, because he, like dementia well, I don't believe he's doing well. But he also, I think, the only thing that I have found relatable about Donald Trump is the fact that he is, he just tweets emotionally, just tweets through it. And
I think all three of us can relate to that.
He will never log off, and he'll never stop posting.
Our very first online president has been a journey.
And that's actually going to be a sad thing about going back to Biden, is that I don't think he even knows how to log in. It will just be like his staffers.
It'll all be his comms team. He'll have some 33-year-old pretending to be a 23-year-old and getting online and trying to do Zoomer speak. And everything else will be just like incredibly wonky and unparsable to most of the population, you know?
Yeah. And then in real life, he'll just be out there like challenging reporters to fights and that kind of thing. The charming thing about him. That's what I like about him.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big disappointments of the pandemic, of course, is that we didn't get to see Biden like interacting with a lot of voters and doing town halls and and doing the press scrums and stuff, because during the primaries, he challenged people to fights, challenged people to push-up contests, told them to go vote for the other guy, called him stupid and stuff like that.
He would have jabbed his finger into so many college students' chests.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Let's jump in the swimming pool and see who can do a back float quicker. He would have been great.
Yeah. In a lot of respects, it really saved his ass that, COVID hit and it upended everything. It made Trump, seem like a complete buffoon, and Biden got to just kind of shut up and stay mostly away and only do stuff where he could be kind of handled pretty well, because he doesn't do well whenever you challenge him directly.
No. But yeah, I'm definitely on the same page. I think no matter what time Tuesday, Trump's going to declare himself the winner. I don't know that we're going to know who really is going to win for maybe a month or two. I've just kind of resigned myself to the fact that basically after we do this podcast, my attention span to the national election is going to be over. I'm going to wake up Wednesday. I'm going to log on to Twitter, get some hot takes, and I'm just going to go to work. And then if we know the president, that's great. But my anxiety just can't handle getting invested in this like we did the 2016 election, because that was too much.
I'm a glutton for self-punishment, and also a very anxious individual, but I will almost certainly just be doom scrolling the next week, month, 3 months, looking at incidences of violence, looking at what's going to be happening with this shit in the courts, because there's almost certainly going to be stuff that goes to the courts.
There already has been. That's
or straight to the Supreme. Yeah, exactly.
The Republicans they're not waiting around this time to try to steal it. they're working overtime to try to steal it already.
Very proactive.
Yeah, they're trying to get it on Black Friday sale.
Right.
They're the shoppers who go in Thursday on Thanksgiving to Kmart and try to get the deals right away.
Yeah.
Right, eat Thanksgiving dinner at 1, and then sit around and wear it off, watch a little football, and then by 4 o'clock in line at Walmart, ready to throw punches. Yeah, that's my family, yo.
Yeah,
and it's honestly respectable. I wish Democrats knew how to cheat and how to. That's the problem. Biden's going to win, and he's going to be like, well, we need to all come together and work with Mitch McConnell. And then Mitch McConnell will spend 2 years not appointing any of his judges if he's still in power.
Yeah.
And that's something we've seen. I mean, they know how. Trump is obviously a fucking moron. The guy is
he's a patsy.
Dumb, he's lazy, he doesn't have an ideological leg to stand on, other than just being a racist rich piece of shit. He's a mobbed up, he's a New York mobbed up casino guy. He's a whatever. Well, the people he's surrounded himself with, though, are ideologues, and they have agendas, and they're serious, and they've proven that they know how to wield power, which is something that the opposition party, quote unquote, has not proven really at all in the last 4 years. I mean, especially in the last 2 years since they've controlled the House, they've just not shown that they know how to take power and wield it.
Yeah. And the pandemic has really shown that they have just basically let him do whatever he wants, or I don't know. Something I was thinking about today, and this is mostly just defending red states against New York and California, is the two worst senators are Chuck Schumer and Dianne Feinstein, from these ostensibly liberal places that should be giving us these hard left fighters, and it's just the two worst people in the Senate.
Absolutely.
Right. They're completely feckless.
Yeah. Not a fan.
All right. Well, we have plenty of other depressing shit to talk about that is not the national election, because I'm covering local races. I don't think we have a whole lot of bright spots here. So let's Let's talk about the Ozarks and the upcoming election. Taylor, you want to tell us about what's going on down in Arkansas?
Yeah, so we got a couple of interesting races that are happening. One is one Tom Cotton, who he is running against. The only person he's running against is a libertarian named Ricky Dale Harrington Jr. And
Oh, there's a junior. Last week you didn't tell us.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Junior
now
on
this
the end
is
of that
a
shit.
perfect name. It went from being a great name,
Hey,
3 names, and a junior.
what number car does he drive? Do you know?
God, I hope it's a number 3, just to be honest. There seems to be some discrepancies between some polls that the two candidates are using. 538, which we could go into our opinions on 538 and Nate Silver, but they have Tom Cotton leading him by like 80 points. Ricky Dale, who I do want to say I voted for Ricky Dale. He's running on a platform of criminal justice reform.
It's Senator Cotton's opinion that we have an under-incarceration problem. Working in the prison system and seeing how our system is here in Arkansas, it really got me fired up.
Of decriminalizing marijuana, ending mandatory minimums in Arkansas. Like he's got a lot of really good ideas, but
this is the libertarian, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would never say anything nice about Tom Cotton, who we will refer to from here on out as long-necked bitch Cotton. Because
that's the thing is, at least with libertarians, you get like 1 or 2 good ideas in there.
Yeah.
Like, in the mess of them, at least they'll let you do drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
They may think that a driver's license is a government overstep, but yeah, at least they'll let you do drugs and generally aren't into prison.
Yeah, exactly. They may not believe in the FDA, but we can smoke weed. But he is against Tom Cotton. The national polls, have Cotton way ahead. Unfortunately, Tom Cotton is definitely going to win. People in Arkansas adore Tom Cotton.
Do they? Do they really?
Unfortunately, yeah. My parents love Tom Cotton. They think he hung the moon. There are a lot of people here who can't wait for him to run in 2024 for president.
Oh, God.
Imagine Tom Cotton as the president of the United States.
Politics can change fast.
Just like those beady little, I can't. It's a fucking nightmare.
I mean, I will say, other than being a long neck bitch and a fascist, I mean,
yeah,
he's a fairly attractive guy. Like he's one of the more attractive people in the
Senate,
Senate,
I mean, that's not a super high bar.
He doesn't have that like evil corrupting his physical appearances yet.
Wait, who are the hottest senators? Like,
oh God,
oh man.
Listen, this was not.
I don't know.
So many of them have been there for so long that they're just.
We're gonna get canceled for this one.
Yeah.
I mean, if Josh Hawley didn't smile
Kamala,
so weird, he looks like a normal guy. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they're also it skews so old that it's just like, it's hard to, put my mind in the mindset of a 65-year-old horny guy to figure that one out.
We'll put a poll out for any listeners, please. Well, please tweet us. Yeah. Please tweet us and tell us who you think the hottest senators are.
Just the 2024 Republican, Ted Cruz, Cotton, and Hawley. Who is hottest? It's not
Fuck,
Ted
Mary,
Cruz
kill.
is the answer.
Yeah, Cotton,
anyone
sure.
but Cruz.
Cruz, Cotton, Hawley. Fuck, Mary, kill.
I'm getting one of those. Oh, never mind. I can't. I was gonna say, have you seen the movie Wanted? And do you know how those bullets work?
Yeah.
But I don't think I can say that about senators.
No.
This is all hypothetical. It's just jokes in a podcast. This is a comedy podcast.
I'd marry them all. After the libertarian senator that Arkansas is going to elect lets me do plural marriage, I will marry those 3 guys.
Hey, Speaking of, where is Ricky Dale Harrington Jr. from? Because with a name like that, he could really be from any of the 4 quadrants of Arkansas.
Let me take a look. I believe he is from Little Rock.
Where's Cotton from?
That tracks.
Cotton is from Dardanelle, which is over by Russellville, home of Arkansas Tech. He is from, he was born in the area commonly known as Arklatex, which so it's down in the southern part of the state, but he lives in Pine Bluff now.
Okay.
But yeah, he seems like a cool dude. He's absolutely going to lose. But the Democrats didn't run anybody because, and this is a fun story, there's a guy who I actually, to full disclosure, when I first moved to Fayetteville, I did a fundraiser for, I participated in a fundraiser. It was like comedy night, which that's the worst fundraiser. Nobody who comes to comedy shows has any money. Josh can verify that.
We pass the hat around. It's a little military helmet, and I don't know, they get like $18.
Yeah. Except there was that one guy who showed us all his band who gave us like $80.
That drunk guy that kept handing out 20s to everyone? That guy rocked.
Yeah. His band was terrible, but he was cool.
I watched that video, I just kept sending it to people.
Yeah. But the Democrats, there was a person, his name is Josh Mahoney. He has run for a couple of different positions here in Arkansas, and he's lost every time. He's a career person running for politicians. He comes from money. He dropped out 3 hours after the filing deadline in Arkansas.
Brutal. God, that's brutal.
And now there has never been anything formally released, but the rumors are, and I read some unsubstantiated rumors in the Arkansas Times, that Cotton's campaign had a bunch of stuff on him about lying about his work history. They had him on video saying that he doesn't remember the last time he's worked because his wife makes so much money.
This guy sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what we're all looking for. And so he just dropped out and he was like, oh yeah, I have some family health issues. And nobody has heard from him again. The other...
Did he won a primary, though? Or was he unopposed?
Oh, he was unopposed.
Okay. Just no one will do it?
Yeah, that's...
Oh, yeah.
That's got a lot of parallels to what I'm going to talk about today. Just as a heads up, there's a lot of parallels there to what's going on in Mo 7. But go ahead.
A cool dude who has a wife that will take care of everything.
And then Jed Duggar is running for state representative.
Wait, that name sounds familiar.
Now,
what is it? What is a Duggar?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jed Duggar is one of the children from 19 Kids and Counting. His parents are the quiverful Michelle and Jim Bob Duggar. Jim Bob held this seat, it was in the early 2000s. And his son has basically just copied his platform: no abortions, only guns, religious freedom. So he's running in the district in Springdale, his district 81, I believe. Or 89, excuse me. He's running there, but the family's compound actually resides outside of that. And he moved to this house in this district less than a year ago. And he's been living there. He's going up against a beloved, her name's Megan Godfrey. She's an educator. She's great. He's running against her. He won't be interviewed by the local news. He just puts his signs up everywhere. But he moved into a house in Springdale so he could run for this seat. And I got some gossip, because I think that might be my thing on this podcast, is gossip.
You're going to be the gossip queen? We need one.
Yes, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, we gotta have that. Gotta have that goss, that hot goss.
I got some information from a Facebook page called, and this is honest to God, Duggar Family News. Life is not all pickles and hairspray.
I don't even know where to. What I can't parse that.
No, I couldn't either. I have been looking at this for a week, and it still blows my mind. But apparently, the only way that the Duggar children are allowed to move out are if they run for an office. So Josh Duggar, who we all know, he was able to move out before he got married because he went to work in DC for the family values while he was, I don't know, paying strippers. And then you can either do that or you can get married. So all the girls that they have to get married because they obviously can't run for office. But Jed and one of his younger brothers moved into this house, and according to Life's Not All Pickles and Hairspray, they have to share a room in a house together to make sure that they aren't sinning.
I mean, that's kind of problematic considering family history.
It's very,
especially with regards to sins.
Yeah, very problematic and weird because let's think about the fact, one, no 21-year-old needs to be a state representative.
Or married.
Also,
or married.
Yeah, or married. That too. Yeah, the Duggars it's this weird thing because like they live just like right up the road from us in Town, but they make it like very clear that they don't like us and that we're, a part of the secular world. They want nothing to do with us, but they'll try to run their kids for whatever so they can like continue that legacy, and it's just like really gross.
Would you say that Northwest Arkansas is Babylon?
Yes, that's according to the Duggars. The only time that they have really contributed to local politics, besides the one that their children are running for, was the time Fayetteville passed an equality, like a city council measure, basically saying, "Hey, we're not going to discriminate against gay people or transgender people."
This is not going to end well.
Yeah. And Michelle Duggar sent out a robocall to like all of Washington County saying you need to vote against this or they're going to let grown men into our women's changing rooms.
Yeah. The changing rooms.
The changing rooms.
Okay, not even the bathrooms.
Not the yeah. I'm
the
sure the bathrooms were a worry, but I doubt that they would let their children use public restrooms, just honestly.
Hold it till we get back to the compound.
Yeah, but also their compound. I'll send you guys a picture. I actually drove by there a couple days ago, like on the way to something.
Do they have when you say compound, can you describe it?
It's basically this huge plot of land that sits back off the highway, and it is just like their big house. They've got like the security gates. They have several flags ranging from the American flag to a flag with Trump holding a gun.
Is it the Rambo one?
It is.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be.
And they've got all those.
I've seen that one everywhere.
Yeah, they got those lined up, and they've got like all like these little buildings out on their property, and you can just drive right by it. But it's definitely a compound. You can't just like drive up to it.
So they're about full on Waco down there. What, it was in Holly?
Oh yeah,
Hollytown, Hollistown. Where was it?
Tawnytown.
Tawnytown.
Yeah,
Tawnytown.
Home of the great stuff.
I'm very anti the ATF going to Waco, but I'm very pro anyone going into this Duggar Ranch and just
yes, absolutely.
liberating these children.
Well, TLC does it every week, Josh. They still have a show, so you can just.
Yikes.
But in the pursuit of finding out more about Jed Duggar, I stumbled upon too much Duggar gossip that we can talk about later. It's horrifying.
We just need a
I'm
side
sure.
podcast.
I mean, everything I hear about that family's.
Are there Duggar podcasts that just talk about the show?
Man, I hope so, because I would absolutely listen and I would insist on being a guest.
So the show's still on. I don't have cable, so I'm completely unversed in reality television. But the show is continuing to this day, even after the sex scandal, the abuse scandal.
So 19 kids. So I looked this up and I called my mom because she very unironically loves the Duggars.
Same with my mom.
Yeah, I think might just be a mom thing. So the 19 Kids and Counting, that ended after the sex scandal. And then they did a special on that, on the sex scandal, which that was gross to me. And now they have Counting On, which is now that all of the daughters are having children.
They've lost track. That's why they can't keep the number on there. They're just like, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
50? I don't know.
Excuse me, sorry. And so, but a bunch of the, like, I say a bunch, like 2 or 3 of the older girls have quit the show because their dad is too controlling. So there might be like a Duggar uprising, which I would be very interested.
I would watch a show called Duggar Uprising.
Yeah.
We're gonna get like contraposed Duggar-verse, the extended Duggar-verse, with competing factions on TLC and Bravo.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that's all very upsetting.
Yeah, but thankfully,
do you think
that
he'll win?
No.
Okay.
Part of it is he really had, like, other than he has a ton of signs everywhere, he hasn't really done any community events. Megan Godfrey, who, if anybody here is listening and lives in their district, I encourage you to vote for her. She is pretty beloved in that district. She won by a landslide when she was elected, I think, a couple years ago. I don't see him winning just because, one, he's not part of the community, and that's in that community is very tight knit, and it's a very like working class, liberal district. So I do see her winning, which that is a little bit of a relief.
And this is for state rep, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. We're not sending a Duggar to Congress.
No, not yet.
So, one day.
Yeah.
One day there will be a whole Duggar Caucus.
Isn't that like the Family Values Caucus now?
I mean, it'd be pretty close, yeah.
Yeah. I know, shocking.
Oh, man. All right, well, I guess let's come back to Missouri, yeah? Let's talk about the gubernatorial race going on up here. We're one of 11 states that has a gubernatorial race this year. I'll let Josh take this one away.
And so this is not a... When did Greitens win? It was 2016, right? So this is a...
Yeah, Greitens won in 2016.
Okay, so this is basically because our governor had to leave in shame. I was trying to figure out how exactly we wound up with Mike Parson as our governor. And
well, if I recall, we elected him. If I recall,
he's lieutenant governor.
I may be talking my ass, but if I recall, he was lieutenant governor, and then Greitens had a combination sunshine law violation.
He did a twofer,
like signal chat and shit in the office. Yeah, he had that going on, and then while the investigation into that was going on, he had photos leaked of his mistress like tied up and bound to a pole in his basement that he claimed was some BDSM shit, but looked like it was out of fucking Saw or something. And that led to his resignation and Parson's ascension to governor. So Parson hasn't won a vote for governor yet.
He went ahead and did a revenge porn, is what everyone took it as, because he was threatening her with these photos that he would release, which doesn't seem smart if you're the governor.
Right. So yeah, it was not only the how fucked up the photos were, but he was using them to blackmail her whenever she should have been using them to blackmail him.
I wish she had brought me in as an advisor, because I'd been like, okay, we got this guy. We're gonna get the royalties from all of these stupid books. So our ex-governor had to resign because, I think most of it, they were working through in like our state assembly. They were maybe going to impeach him, but I kind of think ultimately it is the thing where if you refuse to go away, if you've done something wrong, you'll get away with it. Does that make sense? Like, after the Access Hollywood tape, Trump was just like, no, I'm not going anywhere. Like, a normal human,
right?
You can't get canceled if you don't go away. Unless there's criminal charges.
Yeah, if he had stuck around a little bit longer and seen Trump's playbook, he would have had a playbook where Greitens would likely be our governor still. If he if he had thought, oh man, if I can just hang in there, this shit'll all blow past because there's no consequences for people who hold elected office in this country.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
where
But
that's where Al Franken messed up. You know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, he should have gone away. They should have forced him out, which they kind of did. But if he had just said, no, I'm not going away. I know I groped women and am gross. He would have gotten away with it. But he left and Greitens left. And that's why we have Mike Parson now. So he was our lieutenant governor. Now he's our governor. Let's see.
It sounds a lot like how Mike Huckabee became the governor of Arkansas. Jim Guy Tucker refused to leave office, and they had to call they were about to call the National Guard on him. So
in Arkansas Classic is having to call the National Guard in for things.
Yeah, exactly. That's we got him on speed dial. Yeah. So at Jim Guy Tucker's, if you refuse to leave, they will militarize against you. But yeah, for the most part.
They should have to do that with canceled comedians. Like, they should bring the National Guard in next time Louis shows up at a random open mic. Just like, bring him in. Governor Cuomo called him in.
I would love to see that also applied to some like shitty local comics. Just like the National Guard just haul some of a bitch off stage. I'd love it so much.
Sometimes they're like, you didn't even do anything wrong other than just be unfunny. We got to drag you out of here. Sorry.
Yeah.
The governor has
killed
you.
Hey, the way things are going now, it might not be too long before we see exactly that. So
I did see that the blue check liberals on Twitter we're getting off topic here. Were upset with John Mulaney because he said that nothing would change.
Which is basically almost a direct Biden quote. I mean,
yeah,
right, yeah.
And the part that took out of context was like, the poor will still be poor and the rich will still be rich. It was like what he said right after that.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's not wrong.
It is funny how much like certain liberals look to SNL as like a barometer for where they're like, we need the Biden impression not to hurt him too much in the polls. Like, if anyone is voting off of anything that's happening on SNL, like, they should not be allowed to vote.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, there should be a special ballot box just for them, and it's a trash can.
And then we just dump it into a swamp.
A creek. It's been 6 years since the first debate. I don't know if that one's going to land. All right. We're off track. Let's hear about old Mike.
So, just looking for things that he's done wrong, just because I want to talk bad about him. One thing he did in July of this year, he said he would proactively pardon the McCluskeys. Like, before they were charged, he just went out there. And if you don't remember them, they are the white lawyers who went out with guns to point at Black Lives Matter protesters. Just
Cori Bush was in that crowd.
Oh, was she? Okay. That actually comes to one of my points that I like about Galloway. Let's see. Okay, so I've actually gone out of my way not to learn about Nicole Galloway because I want to vote for her. And anytime I learn...
Same. Exactly
I learn more about Democrats, I like them less.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, look, I'm just not going to look into her because I want to vote for her. I want her to win. But if I learn about her positions, I might become skittish about voting for her. But the main thing I know about her, because I follow all these horrible like GOP like Twitter accounts, is that they are very mad. And they're doing the same thing with Biden, where they don't want to run against her. They want to run against Cori Bush, basically. Like with Biden, they're like,
right, they want to
the squad will
Yeah.
Trump said yesterday that he was going to make Ilhan Omar the head of Department of Defense, or just something insane. Which I wish.
Finally, Ilhan Omar will get her goddamn Gundam.
If Biden put that in his, if he declared he would do that, I would go be a poll watcher tomorrow and just be one of the armed ones that stands outside the polls. So the main thing that they keep attacking her for is that she endorsed Cori Bush, and that she won't take it back, which is the thing I like about her, because one of my least favorite things about Democrats is when they get pushed by Republicans and they play into their hands, basically, and they just denounce them.
Well, and I saw she accepted some of the Republican framing of the issue, and I was like, here it comes. But then she was steadfast in not, she's like, we're not going to defund the Pentagon. And it's like, okay, well, you're not. You're going to be governor. Perfect. That's fine. That's fine by me. She's not going to pull back the endorsement of Bush. Then I can fucking live with this. I can do it.
Yeah, it's just when they think that they're going to win any Republican over by selling out someone on their side. With some insane framing, like that's happening in some of our like very local things where they're like, well, this person is going to defund the Pentagon, and no, someone running for state rep is not going to defund the Pentagon. That's not how it works. And it's just it's a classic Republican move, and it works a lot of the time. And I think Parson will win. I have him in my head between 5 would be good if he just won by 5, but it's probably 8 or 9, right?
I think I think his name is Joe Combs, the Libertarian candidate. I know a bunch of the last time I was in my sock puppet on Facebook with all the right wing shit, they were really trying to police each other. Like, don't vote for Joe Combs. He sounds great, but we're gonna get Antifa Galloway if we vote for I think it's Joe Combs. And some of the ads and shit. Ads I've seen on KY3 in the mornings. I watch the morning news most of the weekdays because I'm again a glutton for self-punishment. All the Parsons anti-Galloway ads like supports BLM and looting and burning the cities to the ground.
And Nicole Galloway, her campaign has been funded by left-wing extremists.
Stop making it sound so cool.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, man.
You're appealing specifically to me.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that she's not doing the Claire McCaskill thing, which my least favorite Democrat who's run here nationally or statewide in a long time.
That was a Freudian slip.
Exactly. Who specifically was running ads on right-wing radio attacking me. Like, if you think that I'm going to support people like AOC, I was like...
Was that... She lost in 18,
yes.
Holly, right? Was that 18? Okay, so...
No, it was 16.
Yeah,
maybe it was 18.
Was it 16?
I think it was 18.
No.
I think 16 was Candor Blunt.
That's right,
and,
that's right.
Candor lost on the he got a bunch of anti-gun shit, even though he broke down an M16 and put it back together.
He put that shit together.
in a 30-second ad. Yeah, with a blindfold on, and he still lost in the state of Missouri because Roy Blunt said, and the NRA said that he was coming to take your guns. But McCaskill, I'll never forgive her for this, and anytime one of her tweets crosses my timeline or anything, I always repost this video, and it's a ad that she ran in 2018 called Secure was the title of it, and it was her with a bunch of CBP, like Customs and Border Patrol people from the Customs and Border Patrol Union, touting her as one of the best senators on immigration in the Senate. And it was like, we the CBP Border Patrol Union, we support Claire McCaskill and Donald Trump. And they're like,
Claire McCaskill understands the threats to our border.
A leader dedicated to keeping our country strong and safe.
Those ads against McCaskill on immigration just aren't true. She was one of only 4 Democrats to vote to end sanctuary cities.
Votes to strengthen and secure our border.
We endorse President Trump and Claire McCaskill because of their records on border security.
Take it from us.
No senator is tougher on securing the border than Claire McCaskill.
I'm Claire McCaskill, and I approve this message.
Fuck you. And
awesome.
Now she's already rich as shit.
She's MSNBC all the time.
Yeah, and now she's making millions of dollars a year talking on MSNBC telling the Dems what they should do despite losing to that fucking earthworm John or Josh Hawley. So
she won.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Bring up Claire McCaskill on this podcast, and I'm gonna fucking
Here's
yell
what I'll say.
for
The
you.
only reason she ever won is she
beware.
won on that wave in 2004 because Bush was a terrible
2006,
president, and then 2010.
It was 06.
Okay, 06. Oh yeah, you're right. 06 because of Bush being terrible, and then 2012 because she ran against Todd Aiken, who was the worst candidate. He's worse than Roy Moore in a lot of ways. And Roy Moore was a child molester.
Wasn't he the one? Wasn't Aiken the one who said a woman's body has a way of shutting down
just
pregnancy from
just
rape?
naturally, baby. It can shut it down.
Man, whenever Missouri makes national political news, it's always for the best.
It's never
shit,
good.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the only reason she won that time, and we got her for 6 months. Anyway, okay. Sorry. She's the worst. She is the worst.
I love this.
Let's see. So Galloway's our state auditor right now, and so she won in 2018, but that was kind of the blue wave year, even though I don't know how much that... We didn't have a Senate race.
She won 16.
She won auditor in 18.
She won... Oh, is it a 2-year position then? Because she won in 16 too, because she was the only Democrat at the statewide level to be elected in 16.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Like the thing I have here.
That was when they swept the damn thing in 2016.
Okay. Well, she won by 4.7% in 2018 against someone named Sandra McCowell. The Libertarians brought in 2.2, and the Constitution Party brought in 2%. But okay, so the thing that they've been doing lately, what they've been fighting about. And the only reason I'm talking about this is it's my two least favorite political bullshit things is Parson has been attacking. Here's this quote. I grew up in a small town. You start working when you're a kid. 14 years old, I had my first job. My opponent grew up in St. Louis. I went to public school. She went to private schools. And he's doing the rural versus city thing. And so her defense has been she went to a Catholic girls' school, which that's what Republicans love, right? Like privatizing schools and sending everyone to religious schools.
Yeah.
So he's attacking her for that. And then the other thing he said is, my opponent has never created a job in her life. She's never run a business, which is my other least favorite thing, which I hate when they pit rural people against people that live in cities, and I hate when anyone says I'm a job creator because it's such bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah. Well, and he's a farmer, so his job creation is like sub-minimum fucking picking jobs and shit. And the motherfucker's a cop.
He was a cop. He did have some gas stations at one point. He owned some gas stations.
Oh yeah. Oh, so sub-minimum pickers and minimum wage clerks.
Exactly. Like
helping people pull themselves up by their bootstraps there.
Get out there and go wash that window right now. And so her people had to release a statement that said, State Auditor Galloway worked as a teenager, first babysitting neighbors in middle school. Why are we talking about this? You know, they're running for governor. Why are we talking about what she did in middle school? But they also said she worked 2.5 years as a server at Applebee's, which is harder than any job I've ever had. It's harder than being governor. Like, I would never want to be a server at Applebee's.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, that's a good. I mean, and that's good. Like 2.5 years at Applebee's will put life in perspective.
Yeah,
you know? Like that makes me like her more than anything I've heard about her. I mean, the number one reason I'm voting for her is because she ain't Mike Parson.
Yeah,
I fucking hate Mike Parson, and she has a chance, so I'm voting for her ass. But yeah, I mean, solidarity, sister. Fucking.
So I own a business now. I technically can create jobs if I hired someone other than my cats. But I worked at Taco Bell for 3 years, I think, and I worked at a movie theater for 8 years. Those are harder jobs than when I was a teacher for 10 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Jesus.
Because everyone treats you like shit, and you get paid nothing. Like,
yeah.
I can't even imagine having to actually pretend to like the people that I'm helping.
Man, yeah, I was a server at Shoney's for like 3 years in high school, and
Bring us
yeah,
back
let me
to
tell you,
Shoney's.
yeah, that'll put some shit in perspective for you. You're right.
Everyone should have to be a server for 2 years minimum.
National jobs program right there, man.
Absolutely, that's what they need to like job
minimum wage service jobs.
Yeah.
If you get a deferment, or bring back the draft, but instead of it putting people into the military, it's doing service stuff. And if you try and get a deferment because you're a rich asshole, then instead you have to go work at fucking McDonald's for $7.15 for 2 years, or worse, work at some small business tyrant restaurant where you get treated like shit by the customers and your boss.
Absolutely.
The last thing I have about Parson is, and this was in the 417 Biz, where he was one of the Men of the Year, or People of the Year, whatever it was, article. It was a profile. They referred to.
Is that this year?
No, it was the year he became governor. It's like 2017, 2018.
Thank God.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's all the COVID stuff we can talk about too. But they said something about him saying something controversial in a religious publication, so I looked it up, and this is what he said about homosexuals. I'm old school. I know how I believe. I know what's going to happen to these people.
Jesus!
Woof, that is...
And it's the reason that you should never have... And so I went to Evangel University. That's where I have my undergrad degree from. And so I've had lots of conversations with Christians. And I know where any argument eventually lands, and it's, well, you're going to hell and we're going to heaven. You know what I mean? Like, your beliefs will send you to hell with the gays and the witches, and and that's why you should never bother talking to someone who is going to get you there eventually.
I mean, I'll be real with you. I'm actively working on it. I'm trying to get a warm seat. I long ago resigned myself to the fiery lake, and I just want to make sure that I'm in good graces when I get there.
Yeah, I think by us starting a podcast, we've reserved ourselves a room.
Yeah, no, you go directly to hell in a second.
Yeah.
Well, we can save Parson a seat too. So.
But yeah, also he's actively killing people with COVID, and
yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, is that like almost every day he has 2 Twitter accounts, right? He's got his like official governor account, and then he's got his Mike Parson from Missouri or whatever, just like his personal account, campaign account. And almost every day, or at least a couple times a week, from the governor's account, he's like, we have to stay strong and be a community, and blah, blah, blah. And we have to do these 3 things: social distance, wear a mask, and stay home if you're sick. And then, 2.5 hours later, from the Mike Parson account, the personal account, there'll be a picture of him at a campaign stop with 30 people crowded around, and none of them wearing masks, just like basically spitting in each other's mouths like it's some kind of deranged porno or something.
It's the same down here with our governor. He's not running for re-election, but he's constantly like, guys, we got to social distance, got to wear our masks. And then like he is always like taking pictures inside of local businesses without wearing a mask. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Asa.
Asa. It's great when you don't even
Asa Hutchinson.
It's great when you don't even have to run for re-election and do this, but you're still like, I'm just gonna go ahead and kill some people anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
There was a Parson picture where it was him. I think he had his arms around two different women, and they were both wearing masks, and he wasn't.
Hello, Governor. I know that you mentioned masks before, and you went to the DAV in Joplin, and there were a lot of veterans who were wearing masks. Why did you personally not wear a mask?
I chose not to. And I think he probably has that Trump thing where he's like, I'm immune now. I'm fine.
Right. Yeah, because it's worth noting he and his wife Teresa both had it about a month ago, around the same time that right before Trump had it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they just locked themselves in the governor's
Everyone who
mansion
told me I needed to pray for any of these assholes when they had, you know what I mean? Like, or not even pray, just like don't wish anything bad upon them. No, the world is a worse place because they are alive and still not spreading it person to person, but spreading it by just the way they are.
By policy failures.
Yeah.
Every death in Missouri has been a policy failure, and it's on Parson. He ended everything on June 16th or June 15th, whichever day it was, and it's on him, man. Every death since then has been has been in the service of the quote unquote economy and making us getting rid of our unemployment rolls and all that. So fuck him.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion.
Yeah, no.
That's the official stance. That's the official stance of my household. Fuck Mike Parson.
I think as a podcast we can make that the official stance of this podcast. And I'm fairly confident he'll win. I hope he doesn't, but we'll just keep saying it for how long are governors? 6 years?
Here's hoping, man. I mean, we used to be the bellwether state, like Missouri was the very definition of a purple state. And now we have super majorities, I think, both in the House and the state Senate, and every single statewide office filled by a Republican except for auditor, which Galloway holds. And I worry that, with Galloway running for governor, if she loses, that we're just straight up a full-on red state. We'll be further to the right than places like fucking Georgia. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, in Texas.
I don't know.
Because Texas's legislator might go blue this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that with all the votes they're throwing out in Harris County.
Oh no, the judge threw that out today.
The federal judge did?
Yeah,
he came back and threw it out?
Unless I read it wrong.
All right.
But, they're going to try. They're going to do their best to eliminate as many votes as they can.
Yeah, I mean, well, if he threw it out, they may take it to the Supreme Court, and then we'll see what happens.
Which, if Biden will not stack the courts, he deserves to lose. That's my opinion.
We're
Absolutely.
fucked. If they don't act hard, we're fucked. In like so many ways. I mean, the biggest thing is like climate, like
of course.
That's the thing that looms over everything and is turning me into a complete fucking doomer, is that like, even if we get some political victories and inch this country to the left and wrench some of the power back from Republicans, if we don't stack that fucking court and make it so that legislation can actually pass and stand in this country, then we're not even going to do the not good enough, like too small a measures that Biden and Harris are promoting, which is woefully insufficient compared to what we need to be doing anyways. We need we're 10 years past needing to take radical action, and they're talking about 2050 net zero emissions and shit, when it needs to be like gross zero emissions last Wednesday. But with the Supreme Court not getting fixed and stacked federal courts, we're fucked on a planetary existential level. You know what I mean? And so I hope that he pulls his head out of his ass and wields the cudgel like the fucking Republicans have been for the last decade or more.
That's what's so depressing to me when I think, okay, if we can inch. We've got these few people in the House that are good. If we can add Jamal Bowman, if we can add Cori Bush, we're an inch closer. No, there's not enough time. We just can't keep
right.
A dozen good people in the House isn't going to do anything when we're on a limited scale of time.
Yeah, and the Supreme Court is locked with some of the worst schools in the entire country. All right, let's get moving here because we're getting long again. Let's see. We get on Parson and Galloway?
Yeah, Parson.
I could fucking scream about that.
I'm going to try to get a picture with Parson on Tuesday. We'll see how it goes.
Hell yeah,
Josh, we're really counting on you here,
I'm looking forward to your shit that's coming out from the Tuesday thing. All right, so I'm gonna need to crack a beer here before I get my segment going here. Rip it and rip it. All right. William Hollis Long II was born on August 11th, 1955 in Springfield, Missouri. Billy is a dropout from the University of Missouri, which, as a 3-time college dropout of successively less prestigious institutions myself, is one thing I can respect about him. According to an archive of his campaign website from 2011, Billy Long is a 4th-generation native of Southwest Missouri. He claims to have started his first small business with his sister when he was still in high school, and before entering Congress, he had a successful auctioneering business. According to that same 2011 website bio, he was named Best Auctioneer in the Ozarks 7 years in a row. His current campaign bio says he won the award 9 years in a row. Neither article says who issues this award, and a few minutes on Google didn't turn anything up, so who knows if he's just awarding himself that or what.
It's like Trump keeps saying he was made Man of the Year from Michigan, and that's not a real thing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, early in his term, he was talking about Time Man of the Year or whatever, and it was just somebody like printed him one of those novelty covers or some shit.
Also, how many auctioneers do we have in the Ozarks?
Quite a bit.
I mean,
quite
we
a
have
bit,
a lot of
actually.
sale
I mean, there's a lot of
barns,
auctions.
Do we? Okay. I mean, everyone who has an eBay
Yeah,
account
it's a
is an
prestigious. Well, that too. It's a prestigious rite of passage, and he likes to talk about auctioneering a lot. It's his whole thing. It's his whole personality. So Billy runs Billy Long Auctions LLC, which, according to the Better Business Bureau listing, has been in business for 45 years. His campaign bio claims he is a graduate of the Missouri Auctioneer School and was designated a certified auctioneer by the University of Indiana Bloomington. Go Hoosiers. But he's claimed before that he's never been to auction school, and I got audio on that I'll drop in right here.
And I've never been to auction school either, so.
In 2010, longtime Missouri's 7th congressional rep and Republican House Whip, Roy Blunt, decided to run for Senate in the seat vacated by Kit Bond. Billy Long ran in a crowded GOP primary, effectively winning the seat before the general election even took place, due to the district being one of the most safe Republican seats in Congress. It's like regularly 60% plus Republican in Mo 7. I mean, it's number 15 on the safest Republican seats in the entire country or something like that.
Where all does the district
the
run?
likelihood of it runs, so it's anchored in Springfield is like our largest metro in the 7th. And it includes everything in the state south and west of there, and Polk County to the north. So anything to the east of Springfield, like Kabul, Poplar Bluff, West Plains, all that shit is in the 8th. And the Boot Heel, I think, is all in the 8th. But 7th is basically Springfield to Joplin to Neosho to me and Polk County. Which is Bolivar, if I'm not talking out my ass. I don't know. That's flat land up there, so I won't claim to know the geography as well as I will the hill country. Don't want to ruin my rep. That was 2010. So through 5 elections now, Billy has held on to his seat with over 60% of the vote in the general election. Every single year, every single cycle, over 60% of the vote. His accomplishments in the House have been myriad. He co-sponsoring resolutions to rename a post office in Bevier, Missouri, and an act to issue coins commemorating the American Legion, to co-sponsoring a resolution to rename a post office in Columbia, Missouri, and an act to issue coins commemorating the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Of course, he's also done other things, like he's renamed a post office in St. Louis and co-sponsored an act that issues $1 coins with designs that celebrate American innovation. Basically, the motherfucker loves post office renamings and commemorative coins. That's his. He's got a couple other things in there that are kind of hard to parse. One of them is a child sex trafficking internet thing that I started to read into, and it freaked me out a little bit too much, and I got out of it.
Did he start doing that because of QAnon, or?
It was 2000, if I recall, it was 2017.
Okay.
But I mean, it was around the time like Hawley, whenever he was AG. I mean, the whole sex trafficking thing was like a big thing on the right before QAnon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one of the things that Hawley really used to boost his rep before running for Senate, or while running for Senate while he was AG, was he broke up a ring of massage parlors, mostly in the Springfield and Southwest region.
Oh wait, okay,
And,
yeah.
Yeah, and just recently, like,
But those weren't like child.
it came out like there was no trafficking involved. It wasn't even trafficking.
It was just like guys getting hand jobs, right?
They were doing illegal shit in that they were doing giving handies, giving happy endings, but it wasn't. There was no trafficking involved with the people who were doing it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just this like ginned up. The trafficking is the satanic panic, on the right now. It is just like, besides the actual satanic panic that's going on, they're just really, that's where they all love to go, is people are trafficking kids, trafficking immigrants, etc. It mostly plays down to immigration shit, just being hardliners. But it's really hard to get a read on Billy. Like, I can only find a couple of interviews with local television stations. Again, over 10 years of representation in Southwest Missouri. And searching through the articles in the Springfield News Leader archives indicates very few direct quotes from Billy, like outside of general press releases. And when it is, it's usually like they caught him at a press conference for something that's not like him holding the press conference. Like one of them was Silver Dollar City. We reached him with a question about Silver Dollar City at a Silver Dollar City event that he was at.
He just wanted to go to the saloon show, and they caught him on camera and asked him a question.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, cornered him.
Do you ride Thunderation frontwards or backwards? Please advise.
You can't ride Thunderation backwards anymore. R.I.P.
What the hell?
You can only ride it forwards. Yeah, they turned all the cars around. But that means either the news leader's not doing their job and reaching out to them or to him, or he's not granting interviews. But given like the absolute dearth of material I can find anywhere outside of local right-wing talk radio and his own insane Twitter feed, I think it's pretty fair to assume the latter, that he just won't
doesn't have to. Why would you?
Leader. Not that the news leader's not doing their thing. Exactly. I mean, Missouri loves not holding any of these people accountable. Again, he won with 60% of the vote 5 times. Like, he doesn't have to do shit that he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Who's going to hold him accountable?
He's never really had a
on the issues,
credible opponent in the primary, right? Like, not I don't mean credible, but just like correct. No one has the backing. Everyone's just like, right. Yeah, I mean, Billy Long.
Once you're in there, who, especially now that it's the Trump era, it's not like he's a toady, so nobody's going to run to the right of him. And Trump has done so well in Mo 7 that like anybody running to the left of him in the Republican is not going to do shit anyways. I mean, people just go in there and they tick his name because he's the one that they know and he's at the top of the ballot line,
Yeah.
But so like on the issues, he's pretty hard right. He's on the hard right of the Republican Party. He's quote 100% pro-life, and he claims that Roe v. Wade is quote in opposition to the expressed will of the majority of the people, end quote, which is strictly speaking entirely untrue, as pro-choice tends to outpoll pro-life by about tends to outpoll pro-life by about 6 points. According to an average of Gallup polls that I found in the National Review of all places. He's an immigration hardliner. He's pro-wall. He favors a strong DHS presence on the southern border. For some reason, he never mentions our very porous, long, and empty northern border. I wonder why that is. The motherfucker loves low taxes. He talks about spending and taxes all the time, where taxes are too high and spending's too high. Drop them both. And he once illustrated this point by doing his auctioneer shtick on the House floor, auctioning off the national debt.
The way our debt is running out of control, they find it very handy to have Jeff Duncan and myself here in Washington. We are one of the few people that can actually keep up with the national debt. I'm $1 trillion, $2 trillion now, $3 trillion, $3 trillion now, $4 trillion, $5 trillion, $6 trillion, $7 trillion, $8 trillion, $9 10 11 trillion down here, 12 trillion, 13. You're out of here, 13 trillion, 14 trillion now, 15. I have sold it 14 trillion.
Jesus. That's his go-to though. Like his bit is like, I know how to auction.
It's his absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, it's his whole fucking personality, you know.
I mean, I'm only voting for him, and I obviously will, because he shut down Laura Loomer that one time. Do you remember that? No, I will never vote for him.
See, that's why that's what I mean. I was so mad when that happened because there's a bunch of fucking liberals and shit saying, "Oh my God, look at this moment." But like 3 months earlier, he retweeted a video, or he tweeted. They didn't even retweet. Like it was, he went and got the link and posted it on his feed of Laura Loomer confronting Maxine Waters like 3 months earlier. You know what I mean? Like,
which,
in fact, I looked it up. And he fucked up the link the first time, so 5 hours later that same day, he went back and posted it again with the fixed link.
when Loomer Loomers someone, you
really
gotta go back and repost it.
Video. Good deal. And here we go. Funny enough, though, he calls for spending just shit tons of money on the military. His website claims that, quote, disarming America to save money in our national spending budget is something we truly cannot afford. Defense is the core responsibility of our government, and Billy advocates for a strong military that is able to confront any challenge that threatens our nation, end quote. On climate, Billy's doing that thing that Republicans are all doing now, which is basically saying, oh, well, of course the climate is changing. It's always changing. It's always been changing, but it's not necessarily our fault, you know?
Has he thrown a snowball on the House floor yet?
No, he's not pulled it in half yet. No.
They're all gonna do it before it's over.
Absolutely. Yeah, my dad is one of those. Anytime like it'll snow down here, he's been like, I thought global warming was a thing with your people. I'm like, Dad, what? I don't know what you want me to do about this right now.
Mid-January, it's meme time. It's time to go outside and make a snowball and say, hey, libs, triggered that it's cold.
You can't
building a snowman.
Do that shit because it ain't snowed here hardly in 4 years or some shit. Like, it's funny, last year up way north of it, like Kansas City and stuff, got slammed several times, and a bunch of the bad storms went through northern Arkansas, but they just straight up missed the like White River Hills. Like they missed, and I think Springfield to some degree too, is they just like went right around us on both sides. So there's not
it was very mild last year.
Yeah, I feel like it's been 2 or 3 years now in a row that it's been pretty. The last big snow I can remember in the Ozarks was, I'm gonna say it's 2014, and it was on the 15th of May, if I remember correctly.
Jesus.
My son was about a year old. It may have been like the 7th of May or something like that. My son was just over a year old, and it was 65 degrees or some shit like that morning. And then by 3 o'clock, there was like 6.5, 7 inches of snow on the ground. It was fucking nuts.
Yeah, that's a totally normal thing to happen in this region. So I think the climate's fine, honestly.
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Yeah, this is fine. This is great.
In this Trump era, Billy's really proven himself a toady. He's got a career Trump score at 538, just shy of 95%, meaning that he's voted along the White House's line 95% of the time.
Where did he fuck up those other 5%? That's what
I don't know. So
Billy,
what's wild is 5% like that will get you out of the top 50 of current members of Congress. There are a number of 199. Yeah, he is, as far as the Republican Congress people go, he's actually more towards the middle, as frightening as that shit is.
Jesus Christ.
It sounds like the White House, like, very anti-renaming post office and commemorative coin.
That may be it. That really might be it. I think a couple of things were, like, the sanctions stuff, like Trump lifted sanctions on a couple of countries, and Billy's, again, like a national security hawk.
Yeah.
And so he voted against lifting sanctions. We got to sanction the whole world, you know.
Trump said we could sex traffic from one country, and Billy was like, no sex trafficking. And Trump was like, what about this one country?
Yeah, that is one thing I will give Billy Long is he does not appear to have ever made a trip to Little St. James.
Not invited on the plane. Not invited.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being invited on planes. Speaking of being invited on planes, according to a 2019 Color 10 interview I watched, he, at the time, had been on Air Force One at least 7 times, which was maybe the most of any active member of Congress. So he still has quite a bit of, he's curried quite a bit of favor with with the Trump administration, despite voting against him 5% of the time. My guess is he's kind of the court with his auctioneer shtick. He's kind of the court jester thing, because whenever the Blues won the Stanley Cup and they had the big White House celebration where he invited the Blues to the White House, Trump just kind of out of nowhere invited Billy Long on stage to auction off the Stanley Cup, and he was just like, Trump was off to the side, just like animatedly raising his hand and shit. Like he was just absolutely fucking giddy to be involved in an auction or whatever.
That's 1,000,000% the kind of thing that would appeal to Trump. Just any kind of
exactly.
ostentatious show of like nonsense.
It was just like, apparently it was just like out of nowhere too. He's just like, Billy, come up here. Show him what you can do, boy.
Where's Billy? Billy, do an auction for the Saint. Auction the team off, please. Yeah, come on over here, Billy. Come on. Auction off the Stanley Cup. And he didn't know I was going to. You won't believe this, Sal.
He's got a skill, and Trump respects that probably in a way that someone like Tom Cotton does not have a skill, like other than having a long neck.
Well, and Billy Long is the opposite of that. Billy Long is Humpty Dumpty sitting on top of a 6'5" linebacker's frame.
He truly does look like Humpty Dumpty.
I know his head is perfectly egg-shaped. It's fucking wild. I've never seen anything. Everybody likes to dunk
right
on all
now, and it is an egg.
It is an egg. It is shaped like an egg. It is tapered towards the top, almost to a point. I mean, he's like a Conehead's third cousin or something.
He's like the Conehead's cousin they don't invite because he's too conservative.
Yeah. So all that said, and I mean that's only barely getting into it. I didn't get into the donors or anything like that. I mean, like I said, it's pretty fucking hard to get a hold of this guy, despite him being in there for 10 years, because he's pretty quiet. Otherwise, other than, like I said, a deranged Twitter feed, which included at one point during the Kavanaugh hearings, he retweeted a tweet that compared attempted rape to giving a kiss on the forehead or something like that. So that was one of the few Billy Long write-ups that went around as one of his few national news mentions. So real piece of shit. But all that said,
he blocked me. He blocked me, which means he's a shithead.
Yeah, did you figure out which account?
No, it's from Auctioneer 1. It's his personal one.
Well, he hasn't blocked me yet. We'll see if he ever hears this. I'm sure that I'll get the block. I forgot to tag. I posted a picture of him as Humpty Dumpty, and I forgot to tag him in it. So unfortunately, I won't get the block.
Tag both accounts.
I want our mission statement to be to bully politicians on Twitter. Like I want that to be like a core part of our culture.
I want to be blocked by every elected representative who represents me that I don't like. I want to block me. Even the ones that I do like, I want Crystal Quaid, block me, please. You shouldn't have to see what I'm tweeting.
So all that said, there's just really no chance of sending the Colonel Bill back to the auction block this Tuesday. It's considered one of the most safe Republican districts in the country, like I said. And on top of that, in September, the Democratic candidate, this may sound familiar to you, in September, the Democratic candidate dropped out of the race, citing family issues and health issues after the ballot had already been set. So there is a Democrat on the ballot who is no longer running. And so then if somehow this Democrat who has not done any campaigning and not spent a dime since the general started were to win, it would go to a special election anyways. But like I said, they dropped out, and that leaves only a libertarian candidate that only typically polls 3 to 7% of the vote share, which is honestly kind of high, surprisingly high, 3 to 7%. And there's an independent write-in candidate, Audrey Richards, who I've been hearing quite a bit about. I heard her speak at one of the Branson Mask meetings. I didn't go, but I watched it online. And she was, I think in that meeting, it was either the first or the second. She was either only one or two of the people who got up there and spoke pro-mask out of like 50 fucking speakers. She is a write-in, Audrey, Audrey Richards, like it sounds. She's from Stone County originally, and she's kind of filled in that center-left space vacated by the defunct Dem candidate. She's running on a real rural thing, real rural values without doing all the psycho conservative signaling shit. She's her thing is Billy doesn't give a shit about you. I'm from your district. I live in your district. She's doing that outsider thing that usually works for Republicans. Now, granted, she is a certified write-in, so she's probably not going to do so hot. And so despite not having a serious challenger in this will be his 6th campaign, Billy has spent almost $1.5 million on this race so far this year, and he has still another $500,000 in the bank for his campaign war chest.
What is he spending it on, and why?
Well, that's another thing. He spends it on. He goes to Vegas a lot, and so to fund him going to Vegas, he'll have like a fundraiser where he buys a box at like a Taylor Swift show or Jerry Seinfeld or whatever.
Brings the cast of Entourage to hang out with them.
He doesn't even do that. You don't even get to hang out with anybody but him. But you're at a Taylor Swift show or whatever, and you pay like $20,000, and it covers your room and board and the ticket to to get into the box or whatever. And so he gets to hang out and rub elbows with like Sheldon Adelson and play poker at the Sands, because this motherfucker loves playing poker.
This sounds like my nightmare. Is to hang out with Sheldon and Billy. I can't think of anything worse.
The worst. The worst. So yeah, I mean he's burning cash despite not needing to at all. I mean, he just gets to go have fun at the Sands or at the Wynn or at the Bellagio, play poker, go see shows.
The real losers
runs it as campaign tabs.
The losers are whoever is giving him money for any reason.
For sure.
Yeah, if somebody
for sure.
And if it's not just like someone like Sheldon Adelson, if it's not just someone like throwing money at him that is a billionaire already, if it's just people like sending $15, you are a loser.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of small donations necessarily, I don't think, looking for open secrets. He's got a lot of like maxed org donations and maxed individual contributions and shit like that from local businesses and
I guess if you want kickbacks, never mind. Bookmarks is going to start giving some money to Billy Long.
We're gonna collect it.
Get that community development grant.
What I'm looking for is for him to pass a local ordinance that says cats do not have to be spayed or neutered, and they can just keep running wild and fucking. That's what I'm looking for.
It'll bring the squirrel population down. Sell it as a conservation issue.
It'll destroy these birds.
Yeah.
All these goddamn songbirds and native passerines. So compared to his $1.5 million spent this cycle, Miss Richards, the write-in candidate, has raised and spent about $8,000. So there you have it. Unless there's some big sea change in Southwest Missouri in this decade, Billy Long will likely remain my congressman until he either retires or dies, or until Senator Blunt retires and dies, and Billy opts to try to move to the Senate. And that's all I got on Billy Long today.
That's actually frightening, because I've never thought of him as someone who could win a Senate seat. But who could stop him?
He's a little crass for it, but in this post-Trump era, he maybe could, he's definitely not a Holly, and he's definitely not an old school dude like Kit Bond or Jim Talent was,
they're just boring.
Yeah, they're just boring pro-business conservative guys who also happen to have terrifying views on immigration and abortion rights, whereas Billy Long is definitely that kind of clownish populist guy, despite one of those faux populists, despite not really
he wears it better than Holly, though.
At all.
You know what I mean? Like I buy it more out of Billy Long than I do out of Holly, where Holly's just like at least he didn't graduate. You know what I mean? Like Holly's just this Yale-y piece of shit.
Right. And I mean Billy sounds like he's from Southwest Missouri,
Yeah. The same with Parson on it, like at least they are authentically from here rather than like if you want to talk to kids that went to private school, don't talk about Galloway. Talk about Holly.
Josh
Yeah.
Holly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like the Democrats in Missouri don't have anyone on a state level other than maybe Candor that could beat any of these guys.
And Candor's basically said he's done, I think. He was gonna run for. I think he was gonna run for governor this year. Casey Mayer.
Well, he was running for Casey Mayer, but he talked about having PTSD and that kind of thing.
Yeah, he dropped out for mental health reasons and cited PTSD because he is a combat veteran. It's probably not wrong, and it's probably better that he did drop out than take on office and do some shit like Greitens, And that's, it's funny, like Candor, and that was 2016, and Greitens. That was the two of the most insane ads I've ever seen in my life in Missouri. Was Candor doing that blindfold breakdown and put back together his M16, and Eric Greitens setting up a fucking Gatling gun, like a minigun, and firing off like 10,000 rounds in a 30-second ad. Like the ad was basically just Greitens sitting there and like firing off a fucking minigun. It's like it was one of the most absolutely deranged things that anybody has ever fucking done in a political ad. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to beat something like that.
Be back.
I
think Greitens is going to come back.
His campaign still exists.
Yeah.
Okay. He filed to keep his campaign open again this year. So the Greitens for Missouri campaign, as far as I know, is still organized and moving forward.
And
I think there was talk that he was going to run third party, but it looks like he's probably waiting for the reactionary swing in 24.
Yeah.
Or maybe he'll run for Senate. I don't know. Maybe he'll run.
The way I learned about him was he wrote a book called The Heart and the Fist. Is that the name of it?
It's something like that.
It's something like that. Anyway, it's mostly about how he's like a woke troop. You know what I mean? Like, and MSU made it the book that they all had to read. It was like their common reader that year. And so he was like the really serious troop that wrote this book. And he wrote he wrote a book called Resilience. And that's how he came into the mainstream.
He's got, let's see.
He has like 6
He's got
books.
the Heart in the Fist, The Warrior's Heart, Resilience, Hard-Won Wisdom for Living a Better Life, Strength and Compassion, it looks like, is a photography book that he put together. Yeah. But yeah, he's a former Navy SEAL, and he just he definitely leaned in hard on that shit.
Sorry, if you're not a SEAL that killed Bin Laden, I don't even want to hear about it. And also, if you are the one, I also definitely don't want to hear about it because you're
definitely don't want to hear about it. Yeah. That guy's
although now that Trump retweeted the QAnon person that said that Bin Laden's still alive and Obama didn't kill him, maybe we need to cancel the Navy SEAL that says he killed him.
Yeah.
Sounds great. That guy sucks dick.
Yeah, that's the worst.
That guy fucking he's awful. I hate him.
Yeah, absolutely.
As someone who has sucked a dick, I'm going to use that pejoratively. That guy
you can use it. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll allow.
All right, folks. You got anything else? We want to do the housekeeping here.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Again, it is. I'm gonna try and get this edited tomorrow morning. I'm gonna get up early, try and get this edited, and before I go squirrel hunting in the morning, and drop it hopefully by noon on Monday, November 2nd, the day before the election. So if you're listening to this, hopefully this is not all just like old fucking news. I hope y'all got it on Monday.
It's always funny to listen to things after it. Like I can't listen to any podcast that existed in the period when people were like, we're voting for Bernie next week. We're really doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, skipping this.
Yeah, I got rid of all the politics podcasts during the primaries.
I had a Trillbillies. It somehow got put on a queue a few weeks ago, and it was the week before the primaries for Bernie. Or right before Super Tuesday.
Sweet summer children.
And I started listening to it. I was like, man, they sound happier than they usually do. And then it did. I was like, oh God, I want to die.
It's like being in a time machine and knowing how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
high
Oh
hopes,
man,
you know.
yeah. Some bleak shit. I'm glad that we waited to start this until everything is just bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly,
it would be
whatever
hard
happens,
to go
it's going
from...
to get worse. It is going
Exactly.
Whatever
Yeah,
happened on
absolutely.
Tuesday, Wednesday is going to be worse than right now.
Josh, we're going back
Yeah.
to brunch on Wednesday. Haven't you heard?
Can I say a thing about the liberals about the going back to brunch thing? I know everyone is like dragging them because they're horrible, but good, go back. No one needs you.
Yeah.
Like that's my
Please
actual opinion. It's like
stuff the blints in your mouth and shut the fuck up.
if they all stop tweeting and just tweet about whatever they want, just how good they're enjoying brunch, that's better for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. Please, God. All right, y'all. So, first of all, a quick programming note. Like I said, this is coming out Monday the 2nd, but typically we're going to do our episodes will be recorded Sundays, dropped Wednesdays. Obviously, we just could not avoid an election, and so we just had to do that. Also, the state of childcare in this state generally, and especially in rural areas, and especially during a global pandemic, is a fucking mess. And so Harvey and I are going to be switching out either every other week or maybe 2 me, 1 her, or whatever. Regardless, she'll be here next week and I will not. So that's why Harvey's not here this week. We didn't kick her out.
It would be funny if just look, Brian Seitz contacted us, and he did not like what you had to say about it.
Yeah, I think people are going to be bummed because as far as the feedback went, like, people loved the Seitz shit. So,
the Seitz stuff is great.
Yes.
They're going to be bummed when they don't hear Harvey's name at the top, and hopefully they get to this point to hear why. So she will be back with, I think all of us will probably at some point be talking about Brian Seitz. I think he's going to be a recurring character on this pod. So.
Yes.
What do you think he'll win by? Do you have any predictions?
Oh, shit. He'll win. It'll probably be mid-70s.
Okay.
I mean, like...
Long-esque.
Like plus 50. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Probably by more than Long does, like, in the district.
Okay.
I would say he nails it like plus 50. I mean, Branson is... It's pretty dark.
Yeah. He seems exactly like the kind of... Yeah, absolutely.
So you can find us now anywhere that you get your podcasts, except for iTunes. We are still in the review phase at iTunes. If we do not, for some reason, get onto the iTunes store, Apple Podcasts, whatever, I will have our Joshua Arnett, contact Josh Hawley directly in order to open an investigation into big tech censorship. So you can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, and on your third-party apps. And hopefully next week you'll be able to find us in iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever the hell it's called now. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at hootnhollerpod. You can find us on Facebook.com/hootnhollerpod. And you can email us at hootnhollerpod@gmail.com. That is in just the lowercase letter N, hoot in holler. This week we are launching our Patreon. Somehow we already have 1 patron, despite not posting the link anywhere or really mentioning it or anything. So I want to give a special shout out to Guy Brown, who seems to be a member of the Ozark diaspora. I believe he's somewhere in North Carolina, and he has boosted us a few times since this first episode dropped, and we deeply appreciate that. It got us some follows on Twitter and some listens, and like I said, he's the first to join the Patreon. So if you'd like to join him, you can go to patreon.com/hootnhollerpod, and we're going to do 1 bonus episode a month, which you can get for $1 a month. That's pretty simple. And then we've got some other bonus content that we're going to be doing, along with we've got our Discord server, which is where we share content and talk about everything.
It's where we slander Billy Long.
Where we slander Billy Long behind closed doors. And it's not only do we make the sausage, but we slaughter the pig here. So you'll actually be able to, if you join the Discord at one of the higher tiers, you will actually be able to, if for whatever reason you wanted to, log in on a Sunday afternoon when we usually record and jump into the channel with us and listen to us do it live, which is slightly more of a shit show than the finished version, though not much more. I mean, you guys heard the first episode.
Yes, thanks for sticking through us. Thank you for sticking with us through that.
If you listened to the first one and came back for this one, you deserve props. And so the first 10 or so people who join our Patreon, doesn't matter what level, I'm gonna give you a Discord invite. I think having our little server and hanging out would be fun to interact with and build some community. I know a lot of Ozarkers, especially leftists, and they tend to leave the area. So I know a lot of y'all who may be listening, thinking of home, no longer here, maybe off in the big city or out west or back east or whatever. And trust me, I get it. I've been there, done that, found myself back here. So if you want to hang out in a left-oriented Ozarks chat room, like it's fucking 1999 or whatever, come jump in our Discord and join the Patreon. So our theme music is taken from the Max Hunter Folk Song Collection at Missouri State University. And I think we're going to end each show with a song from the Ozarks and Ozarks diaspora. If you're an artist from or in the Ozarks region and want to get in on this, holler at us at hootnhollerpod@gmail.com. This week, we got a song called Pizza and Recreation by the Beltnicks, which is somehow now a decade old. So after this is over, I'm going to go dig a hole in the woods while listening to the Carter Family and lie down in it and die. All right. Talk to you next week. Bye.